Buildings are complicated things, and there will always be mistakes made, whether in the design, fabrication, or construction phase. That being said, the probability of such mistakes, of what I'm calling non-structural failure, will certainly tend to increase as the complexity or peculiarity of the building increases. This tendency can be overcome if extraordinary attention is paid to each particular and peculiar detail in each phase of the construction process. However, it's pretty clear that such an effort was not made in the case of Milstein Hall, and quite a few building elements were built wrong. In many cases, they needed to be demolished and then rebuilt a second time. As a user and casual observer of this building, I'm still only aware of some of these items, and there are undoubtedly a good deal more than those documented in this video. We start with this caisson being jackhammered. It was presumably either cast in the wrong place or cast to the wrong elevation. 5 months later, another caisson element was demolished.
Looks like another mistake. They're drilling out one of the caisson caps.
More concrete work was destroyed and rebuilt for the back stair behind Milstein Hall, leading into East Sibley Hall. I've already discussed the demolition and rebuilding of this interior wall in my video critiquing Milstein Hall's sustainable qualities. It was destroyed because a horizontal line marked on the concrete by joints in the formwork panels was not at the exact height specified in the drawings. A remarkable miscalculation occurred in the design or detailing of the welded rigid frame trusses that allow Milstein Hall to cantilever over University Avenue. One of these large rigid frames at the edge of Milstein Hall, where it connects with Rand Hall, couldn't be lifted into place because the masonry cornice of Rand Hall was apparently in the way. After lowering the huge steel frame down from its intended position, the cornice at the top of Rand Hall was jackhammered away, and some of the projecting welded steel fins on the rigid frame were cut off. Only then was the steel frame able to be lifted into place. In order to create a fire barrier between Milstein Hall and Sibley Hall, fire-rated glazing panels were installed behind the existing wooden windows in Sibley Hall's brick load-bearing wall. Only a 3/4 hour fire resistance rating is needed for openings in a fire barrier with a 1-hour rating. But it turned out that the total width of such openings exceeded the limit specified in the building code, making the fire barrier non-compliant. Rather than replace a few of the 3/4 hour glazing panels with 1-hour fire-rated glass, a simple solution which would have solved that particular problem, the architects decided to instead rebuild a number of the non-compliant openings by adding special sprinklers on either side of the 3/4 hour rated glazing panels. This required first removing the existing window and trim, drilling holes in the masonry for the sprinkler pipes, and then installing the sprinkler heads. In the end, the fire barrier wall was still non-compliant since the specifications for this special sprinkler system were not met, but that's another story. The peculiar geometry of many Milstein Hall elements created dangerous conditions and violated both ADA and building code standards that regulate so-called protruding objects. Some of the guards put in place around these protruding objects to warn people of dangers overhead needed to be rebuilt because they did not provide the necessary boundary conditions. And a number of other missing guards had to be added after the building was already occupied. This aluminum fascia trim below the stepped seating in the studio space was built the first time with a rather peculiar corner detail. It was then rebuilt a second time with an even stranger corner detail, but this time no one seems to be complaining. The Milstein lower level gallery has some rotating display walls which were operating when the building first opened. 8 months later, they were rebuilt for some unknown reason. Here we see the rotating steel frame exposed again. Our final example of an ill-considered design element that was built, removed, and then rebuilt a second time is the aluminum gridded guardrail surrounding the stepped seating area on the studio floor. The bolted aluminum elements were apparently too flexible to serve as guardrails, and so they were entirely removed and completely rebuilt, this time with welded steel painted white.